you've got so much growing to do. An adult pit bull can reach up to 100 pounds. Sleek, muscular pit bulls are a cross between the English bulldog and the old English terrier. They are loyal and eager to please. When properly trained, pit bulls make excellent family pets. With her pups cuddled together in a nice tight pile, Mom Venus goes out for a much-needed break. But it seems she's not the only one who's looking for a break. Little Thor takes a break of his own. At this age, he can't see or hear yet. So his adventure is short-lived. And Thor heads back to the bunch. As he grows, Thor will have plenty of opportunity to find his own corner of the world. But for now, his place is in the pile. One little pup in the sea of 9. The 9 full pups are getting bigger every day, which means their space is getting smaller. Stuck underneath his brother, little Thor tries his best to get a good nap. But he can't find any empty space in this crowd. Whether it's mealtime or playtime, it's tough to find elbow room around here. Thor is beginning to feel like he's got about 8 brothers and sisters too many. So he sets out to find a little personal space. And after scanning the room, he seems to have succeeded. But as soon as Thor finds his private corner, the others find Thor. Looks like Thor lost this round of hide and seek. At 6 weeks old, the pit bull pups can now eat food that's not from mom, which is a good thing for her. Because this gang is tough to fill. Thor arrives promptly to dinner, but in this house, there are no reservations for one. Pup by pup, the table fills up. Until poor little Thor is pushed right out of his spot and into the mayhem. Thor is had it with this chaos. When Thor returns, there's no doggy bag waiting. But the hungry pup smells something delicious. And finds his very first treat. It isn't long before the others catch a whiff. But Thor knows better than to wait around. And before his siblings get there, the treat disappears into his belly. It's a big day for the 9 pit bull pups. They're going home with their new families. And as they wait for them to arrive, Thor can feel the excitement in the air. Watching over her young dogs, Venus can breathe easily, knowing they're all ready for the exciting new road ahead. 12 weeks ago, the pit bull pups were a tight-knit pile of 9 fuzzy newborns. As the city pups grew, the space around them seemed to shrink. Thor was never quite comfortable in the chaos of a crowd. But he eventually learned that everything in life is better when shared with friends. Now the pups eagerly wait to meet some very important new friends.
Let's see, this one right here? I think this is the one.
As the litter of 9 starts to shrink down, Thor begins to wonder if anyone is coming for him. And then something magical happens. The moment the front gate opens, the pup seems to know he's found his new best friend. And he's definitely a superhero in Thor's eyes. As they head off into the great big world, Thor is more than happy to share his space and have a best buddy along for the ride. This cozy cabin in the woods is the perfect love nest for 2 Siberian soulmates. Meet Cora and Boris, who only have eyes or tails for each other. The Siberian is an ancient cat breed whose Russian roots trace centuries back. These powerful felines are known to be vivacious and agile, thanks to their strong hindquarters and large round paws. While Cora's got the vivacious and agile part down, Boris, well, does not. He's a big guy who enjoys a comfortable, laid-back lifestyle. Some might say he's gotten a little too comfortable. But to Cora, he's perfect, just the way he is. And as the story goes, first comes love, then comes 5 fuzzy new kittens. Four girls in lovely shades of gray, and one boy, a little redhead, named Calvin, who stands out not just for his fiery coat, but for his fiery spirit. Calvin has a hard time calming down. And when the 4 girls are ready to nap, Calvin's still going strong, which is getting pretty tiring for everyone. Especially nervous new mom Cora, who's worried that Calvin will keep the whole brood from getting any rest. Cora could really use a little help. But Dad's not catching on. He seems to take a much more laid-back approach to kitten care. Besides, as far as he can tell, Cora's managing the situation just fine on her own. But Mom's at her wit's end, and finally comes up with a solution, which lets the girls get some quiet and gives Dad a not-so-subtle hint that this is supposed to be a team effort. Unfortunately, when he finally comes down off his pedestal, Dad's got no clue what to do. And when he turns to his mate, her message is clear. In this parenting duo, he's going to have to start pulling his weight. Back in the country, what used to be a tranquil lover's cottage is now a noisy house of mayhem, with Siberian Mom Cora running the place. And running herself a bit ragged. Meanwhile, Dad Boris embraces his laid-back approach to parenting. And despite Cora urging him to get up, he doesn't. So Cora decides to leave him in charge for a while. Though it may not look like it, Dad's on top of everything. His strategy is for the kittens to tire one another out. And sure enough, Dad's plan works. Though not entirely. Rambunctious Calvin outlasts his four sisters. But now he's got no one to play with. And after tearing through the toys, he sets his sights on Dan. Getting up is not on Dad's agenda. So he'd better find some quick way to occupy his fireball son. And there it is. Something new to chase. Problem solved. When Cora returns, Boris is pleased to show his mate he's got things under control. At least for the moment. Back in the country, the 6-week-old Siberian quintuplets are bickering over everything. And Mom Cora is growing weary of playing referee. All by herself. Dad Boris manages to stay out of the fray. But Cora's just about had enough. She lets Boris know he's on call for the afternoon. Which is no problem for the laid-back dad, who's confident he can parent lying down. But only boy Calvin doesn't take anything lying down. Luckily, Dad knows an easy game to keep Calvin occupied, and it doesn't require him to lift a paw. But Calvin is ready for a new game. Suddenly, Dad realizes it's a little too quiet. He's lost Calvin. And Cora won't be pleased about it. Luckily, Calvin's not missing for long. But seeing Dad up on his feet looks like an invitation for a game of keep away. But keeping up with Calvin isn't easy. And when Dad stops to catch his breath, Calvin disappears again. And now it's time for Boris to face the music. But then, Calvin shows up and cuts the discussion short. Mom's gotta hand it to Dad. He does seem to have things under control. Perhaps there's something to be said for the paws-off approach. Little does she know that thanks to Calvin, Dad's decided to adopt a more hands-on approach. Back with the Turkish Angoras, Mom old litter is giving her 6-week-old kittens a little more freedom around the salon. She's allowing them to chat up the customers in the waiting lounge. And even help out with cleanup.
Doggy
But
doo-doo.
while Mom's given them these new freedoms, flyaway girl Izzy takes her own liberties. And today she discovers a hobby closet that's every kitten's dream. A dream Izzy is quick to pounce on. But she's in for a rude awakening when Mom shows up. And while Izzy has had a good run, she finally gets herself caught. But while finding herself in a tangle, Izzy's actually glad to see Mom. Because even the most independent kittens sometimes need someone big to show them the way. Back at the Siberian's country retreat, everyone's up and about, including Dad Boris, who's finally caught on that sometimes you can't just take life lying down. Sometimes. Not long ago, Siberian soulmates Boris and Cora filled their love nest with 5 fuzzy kittens. While their 4 little girls made life easy, their fireball son Calvin put the new parents to the test. It may have taken some trial and error, but eventually, thanks to Calvin, they came to appreciate each other's parenting styles. Today, the kittens are meeting their new loving families. Of course, Cora and Boris wouldn't want things to be too quiet. So Calvin's going to stick around and no doubt grow up to be the perfect balance of Mom and Dad. This story begins in a ranch home that looks quite serene from the outside. But inside, there's lots of hustle and bustle. A new family has just moved here with a pair of Maine Coons named Wilhelmina and Fred. Fred's a little unsettled with all the change, and it's tough to find any place that feels stable. But the new house isn't even the biggest change this pair is facing. Just one day after the move, Wilhelmina gave birth to 6 kittens. And right now, even they're a little scattered. The litter is made up of 5 girls and 1
That was
boy
breakfast.
named Maurice.
No, you ain't going anywhere. You stay there. Don't make me get the shot collars.
Wilhelmina likes order,
Yeah.
so she calls everyone to lunch.
Way down, Bubba. Way down. Way down. You ain't going anywhere.
And for the moment, order is restored. Meanwhile, Fred watches from above. His perch is finally grounded, and he's not taking any chances by getting down. Hopefully, he'll adapt to all this change soon. After all, his breed was developed on the go. Maine Coons are the largest of all house cats. It's believed they descended from domestic long and short hairs brought over by European seafarers. When they settled in New England, the cats were released into the cold woods, where their coats thickened, and they evolved to be larger and hardier than most cats. Today, Maine Coons are beloved for their intrepid spirits. This little girl named Gertrude is has already shown her intrepid spirit. She's set off on a mini odyssey. At least as far as one can set off with 2-inch legs. But when a deckhand tries to steer her back, Gertrude holds her ground. She's the captain of her own ship. Her brother Maurice, on the other hand, just wants to stay close to Mom. But that can be tough when you've got to compete with so many sisters. And that's when he notices his handsome dad high above the female fray. Maybe Dad's got the right idea. Maurice is pretty new to the world, and he's still not sure how he fits in around here. Perhaps he and his dad can soon figure it out together. There's been much progress at the Maine Coon house, and the mess of moving is well on its way to being cleaned up. The house is now filled with furniture, which Wilhelmina and her 8-week-old kittens take full advantage of. But the end of unpacking isn't the end of the fun. After all, few kittens can resist the call of an empty suitcase. But Maurice is apparently one of them, and he's found himself a taller perch for one. Meanwhile, in the next room, his father rests on his favorite perch. When it comes to Wilhelmina's guys, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. This time, it's the kittens who are making the move. Today, they'll go on to their permanent homes, too. As the girls wait in anticipation, only boy Maurice takes a rare opportunity to enjoy a meal all to himself. But when you've got 5 of them, you should always assume there's a sister just around the corner. It's been 10 weeks since the 6 fluffy kittens made their grand entrance into the world. And while there was chaos all around, intrepid spirit Gertrude dove in at every opportunity. Her brother Maurice was hesitant to follow his adventurous sisters. But thanks to his dad Fred, he learned that sometimes it's okay to take the road or find the perch less traveled. Today, all the kittens will head down an exciting new road. Their loving families are here to take them home. Maurice will have all the male bonding he wants in his new home, while Gertrude gets some new adventurers to share in all her future voyages. Across the country at this rural house, 6 tough little pups are going full throttle. And one tough mother doesn't hold back. These are Chesapeake Bay Retrievers, named for the waters where they were bred in the 19th century as waterfowl retrievers.
What are you doing?
The all-American dog was
That ain't no pillow.
by equally hardy Americans like General Custer and Theodore Roosevelt. Today, the Chessie remains one tough breed, and this family is one tough bunch. But the pup story began 6 weeks ago, when the 6-pack was not so much hardy as huggable. Of Mom Emma's 6 Chessie newborns, 3 boys and 3 girls. One stands out. Little Rory has a diamond-shaped mark on his chest, which he's inherited from his champion retriever grandfather, Bucky. Family legend has it that any pup who bears this mark will become the alpha dog, or leader of the pack. Sure enough, when mealtime comes around, Rory is already pushing for pole position and doing whatever it takes to stay on top. Rory tries to take charge of every activity, even nap time. But taking charge is a challenge when you can't stand up. But Rory's not the only one in this household who likes to boss others around. Ford, the pup's 8-month-old cousin, is eager to show the junior crew who's top dog.
Top dog.
And he's got the diamond mark on his
Which
chest.
dog is top dog? Is it Courage or is it Ladybird?
Leader in training of the household. Fearless in the face of all terrains. Well, most terrains. He's too rowdy to be around tiny newborns, so his face-to-face will have to wait. Inside, little Rory is blissfully unaware that he's not the only pup around here diamond marked for success. Coming up, who achieves a tiny upright triumph. Back at the house in the country, the Chesapeake Bay Retrievers are ready for the next stage in their training. They're still too young to get in the water, so they'll work on their retrieving skills on land. Mom Emma demonstrates the fine art of fetch. The first step in teaching the pups is to stimulate their interest in intriguing objects to fetch. But so far, the pups don't seem all that stimulated. All that is, except wannabe alpha dog Rory. Bearing his grandpa Bucky's alpha dog mark, Rory's focused on learning his breed's signature skill. And he shows definite interest in this object. But the second step in retrieving is bringing the object back, which Rory doesn't seem to have grasped quite yet. But then, across the field, Rory sees his cousin Ford chasing down a prize. Maybe a taste of competition for the alpha dog title will get Rory retrieving. But Ford gets there first. Luckily, Rory has a mom who loves her rookie retriever whether he's acing the test or not. He'll always be top dog in her eyes. This tale begins in a classic suburban home with a cat named Annie, who's got a classic tuxedo coat. But Annie's tuxedo is notably lacking in, well, tails. Of course, there's nothing unusual about being tailless when you're a Manx. Manx cats trace their roots to the Isle of Man, off the coast of Great Britain, where a natural genetic mutation resulted in the breed being born mostly tailless, or with stubbed tails. They have a notably rounded face, rounded ears, and a well-rounded body to match. Annie's perfectly comfortable with her round Manx body, including the few extra pounds of baby weight. She's got 6 brand new kittens to show for it. Though they come in an array of colors and patterns, they've all got one signature Manx trait in common. Except for the little guy at the tail end. This is Charlie, whose tail makes him one of a kind in this family. Manx cats without tails actually have a 50-50 chance of giving birth to kittens with tails. But when it comes to Annie's kittens, the odds landed at 5 to 1. It seems a tail's not the only thing that separates Charlie. When everyone else huddles together for a rest, little Charlie is wide awake. Luckily, at less than 2 weeks old, his siblings can't hear him yet. But someone else can. Buddy is a 19-year-old Siamese who's trying to enjoy his golden years in peace. And his retirement plan doesn't include a noisy kitten. Luckily, Mom knows what to do to restore the peace. Sometimes a special kitten just needs a little extra attention. 4-week-old Charlie is starting to realize he's not like everyone else. And his extra appendage is turning heads in his otherwise tailless family. Little Charlie is starting to feel like he just doesn't fit in with his family. But today he notices something interesting. There's another tail in the house. Buddy, the senior citizen Siamese, is enjoying the view from his peaceful perch. Little Charlie can hardly wait to finally meet someone else like him. But the kitten's not been schooled in the language of tails. And he doesn't know Buddy's tail is saying, "Do not disturb." So with great determination, Charlie makes his way to the top. And before Buddy can object, the little kitten, exhausted from the big climb, is out like a light. Well, at least he's quiet now. For the rest, Buddy figures it's not so bad having a little back in the land of the kittens, Charlie, the only kitten with a tail, still feels like the odd man out. So he spends most of his time with the only other tailed member of the household, 19-year-old Buddy. But while the Siamese cat and the Manx kitten have an extra appendage in common, that's pretty much where the similarities end. While Buddy enjoys long, tranquil cat naps, the 8-week-old kitten rarely sits still.
Alright, next up.
Until something finally stops the kitten in his tracks. All this time he thought he didn't fit in with his siblings, but he can't help but notice that they like to play a lot. Just like him. And since his old pal Buddy looks like he's ready for another cat nap, Charlie decides to try and join in with the other kittens. And though his tail certainly doesn't go unnoticed, Charlie's surprised to find that thanks to his tail, everyone wants to play with him. It turns out that sometimes you don't need to perfectly fit the mold in order to fit in. Little Charlie is finding he fits in quite well with his tailless family. Because in the end, it's not about what you have or don't have. All that matters is that you're comfortable with yourself. 8 weeks ago, and hung around with Buddy the Siamese instead. But Charlie felt he didn't fit in with his family, and hung around with Buddy the Siamese instead. But Charlie figured out that he had more in common with his siblings than he realized, and got himself back into the mix with the Manx. A wild tale is unfolding. 5 kittens are just opening their eyes to get their first glimpse of the world, or at least their cozy house. But these are no ordinary house cats. They're Bengals, a cross between a domestic cat and an Asian leopard cat. Thanks to their wild ancestry, Bengals tend to be fearless, agile hunters, abounding with energy, though they are most revered for their exotic coats, magnificently marked with spots and stripes. But in every family, there's a black sheep. This dark and handsome guy is Walter, who's known as a black smoke Bengal. Though his coat looks mostly black now, in time it will lighten and his markings will become more prominent. Dusky Walter also happens to be the only boy among 4 sisters. Poor guy. Though he doesn't have spots and stripes, Walter's no less Bengal. Channeling his inner wildcat, he decides it's time to try out his ferocious roar on his sisters. He doesn't exactly intimidate. Luckily, when you have 4 sisters, there's always another one to scare. So Walter tries his roar on his sister Sadie. Still nothing. Well, how about Stella? But Stella just wants to cuddle. Not exactly the result Walter was looking for. So he takes his ferocious roar elsewhere. And finally it does something. It gets the attention of the kitten's mom, Franny, who takes Walter's cries as a sign to serve lunch. And though Walter may not have scared anyone with his big roar, he's managed to scare up a hard-earned meal. After lunch, the black smoke Bengal kitten hunts down the best seat in the house. Because sometimes even the most untamed young wildcats just want a hug from mom. The kitten's eyes and ears are open, and the 4 spotted sisters are enjoying the sound of their own voices. But in 3 weeks, only boy and black sheep Walter isn't interested in talk. He's all about action. Though he may not look wild in coat, little Walter is ready to learn everything there is to know about being king of the jungle. He studies every move made by the queen of this jungle, his mom, Franny. Walter watches her scout the area for enemies. He watches her mingle with the locals. He watches her on the hunt. And then he watches her disappear. Out in the wild, Bengal stripes and spots provide ideal camouflage. Looks like it works pretty well in the house, too. Now they see her. Now they go.
It's happening. 20 minutes late. Who gives a fuck? You're fucking.
One of the hardest parts of being an evaluator is knowing when to let go.
When Chatty Stella decides to try Mom's trick, she doesn't realize that a successful disguise is a silent one. Walter's been watching and is ready to give it a go. His markings still aren't prominent, but that won't stop Walter from showing his sisters he can escape right under their mother's nose. Walter is starting to prove that the true mark of a wildcat isn't in the spots or stripes. Sometimes it's just about being wild at heart. The Bengal kittens are 9 weeks old today. And to celebrate, they're being treated to a feast. Fit for a jungle king. Or at least 5 hungry kittens. When a second course is served, Walter can't help but notice that his sisters back up and allow him to eat first. Perhaps they're finally beginning to see him as the king of the jungle. Or perhaps they see the giant beast that Walter is too busy eating to notice. Until the beast lowers his mighty head. Though Walter's been wanting to get a closer look, he wasn't expecting it to be quite this close. Nor was he expecting it to lap up every last bite of his feast. Walter's backed into a corner. Walter gathers his nerve to scare off the beast with his most ferocious roar yet. And it works. The beast backs away. Or maybe that's just because the plate's already been licked clean. Either way, Walter feels puffed up, even though there's nothing left for lunch. The Bengal girls are blowing off some steam. While wannabe Jungle King Walter is showing a certain wild beast who's boss. Of course, by now, Walter's learned that it's easy to be brave from behind this blockade. From the start, the black sheep of the family, Walter, worked hard to prove that he was the most Bengal of the bunch. After mastering some jungle cat moves and defending his sisters from the beast named Samson, Walter finally earned his jungle cat crown. And now the Bengals get some very important visitors. Franny's girls all eagerly meet their new families. Best friends Sadie and Stella are heading off into the big wide world as a pair. As for Walter, he'll be staying right here. Turns out in this suburban jungle, there's room enough for a wildcat king and a burly beast to rule together. But even aristocrats have humble beginnings. This is truly elegant. Yep, that's her name. She's 8 weeks story. She won oodles of Best in Show awards in her illustrious career. She's already produced 3 prize-winning litters. She's a posh and perfectly pedigreed creature, and she knows it. A sharp kick means that her labor has begun. She'll need to find a comfortable place to get to work. The first to arrive is a little boy named Reginald. Soon, Reginald is joined by 3 little sisters. Truly relaxes with her 4 newborns because the hard work is over. But Truly is in for a surprise. In this special Fluffiest Kittens edition of Too Cute, Persian mom Truly Elegant and her 5 newborn kittens are settling in. This little black and white ball of fur is Reginald, the oldest kitten. Truly thought that her work was finished, but an hour after 4 kittens were born, Priscilla suddenly arrives, fashionably late. Even young Persians need pampering to stay looking their best. And if you want to be a top cat, you have to start your hair care regimen early. Truly is too exhausted to give her kittens a thorough clean. So at only minutes old, Priscilla is getting her first spa treatment. After the wash comes the blow dry. Priscilla shows off her new do to her sister Gizmo. She's not impressed. Finally, the whole litter is fluffy and fabulous. Tensions are high. Truly's kittens are about to experience their first grooming. Reginald is up first, and he's not too happy about it. Persians have to tolerate more than just nail clippers, brushes, and combs. Their dripping goes a step further. They have to learn to love what most cats can't stand. Water. Unlike other cats, long-haired Persians need regular baths to keep their luxurious coats healthy and fluffy. Reginald doesn't care if he has a prize-winning coat. He just wants the ordeal to be over. Unfortunately for Reggie, there's one last step. He's about to learn that getting wet is nothing compared to getting dry. At the home of the Persian kittens, it's another kind of big day. A cat show judge is back to see which one has grown into champion cute. A winning Persian should have a body that's short and round and a face that lines up flat. As they measure and evaluate, Mom truly assesses for herself. Reginald and his younger sister Gizmo are the front runners. Reginald has been the favorite to move on to cat show life. But Gizmo's coloring and calm demeanor give her an edge. Once the results are tallied, Gizmo emerges triumphant. She'll start competing in cat shows in just a few months. Reginald might be a little jealous, but he and his siblings have a lot to be proud of. They've come so far, transforming from helpless newborns to show-worthy kitten royalty. And truly elegant couldn't be prouder. At this hilltop hacienda, a story of epic proportions has just begun. A 160-pound St. Bernard named Dee Dee has recently become a first-time mom. Her roly-poly litter includes 2 boys, Duke and Atlas, and 1 girl named Eleanor. There might be only 3 of them, but with her newborns already weighing in at a hefty 4 pounds, Mom Dee Dee has her work cut out. St. Bernards have been a favorite large breed since the 17th century, when they worked in the Swiss Alps as search and rescue dogs. Using their keen sense of smell, they'd find lost travelers in the snow, and with their brute strength, pull them to safety. Dee Dee and her brood are a long way from the Swiss Alps, but there are other elements these search and rescue dogs can tackle. In her suburban backyard, Dee Dee can get creative with who, or rather, what she rescues. But before her little ones can dive in, they first need to learn how to stand up. But even on wobbly legs, only girl Eleanor is determined to prove her search skills and find a new nook to stake out. Unluckily, she sniffs out a spot that's a little too snug and winds up in need of a rescue herself.
No, no. Lay down. You ain't going anywhere. I'm over there. Lay down up there with sister.
Duke and Atlas
Right there, where you
hear
at?
their sister's SOS.
Good girl.
And
Lay
though
down.
they don't quite spring into
It's
action,
okay, Bubba.
they
No,
eventually
you're good.
roll in the right direction.
Daddy does you both.
And their familiar scent
I do.
guides Eleanor
You
back
love me?
to a cozy path.
No, don't stay.
Though it might not be
Back up, Missy Moo Moo.
At least the St. Bernard pups know they've got each other to lean on. The winds are changing, and so are the little giants. In 2 weeks, the pups have doubled in size, now weighing in at 8 pounds each, the size of an adult papillon. But these titanic tots don't seem to realize their own sizable spread. And at this point, the hefty roughhousers are making someone a little uneasy. Goldilocks is the household Shih Tzu, and what this pampered pooch prizes the most is quiet time in her cozy bed. But with this rambunctious dog around, there's not much chance of that. Though the pups haven't noticed Goldilocks yet, Eleanor's keen search and rescue nose detects the stranger in the room. But before Eleanor can spot her, Goldilocks is gone. The search for the mysterious housemate is on. Enlisting brothers Duke and Atlas, Eleanor follows her nose to where the scent is strong. It might not be the stranger they were looking for, but it sure is cozy. Goldilocks thinks so too. And she's not pleased about 3 pups sleeping in her bed. Eleanor, excited to lay eyes on her mystery housemate, invites her for a snuggle. But Goldilocks wants no part of these bulky bedfellows, and reluctantly retreats to a puppy-free couch. With search and rescue by land and by sea in their breed's blood, the 30-pound pups are now big enough to get their water wings. Mom Dee Dee demonstrates by rescuing a distressed rubber ducky. Of course, the graceful exit and final shake are all part of the search and rescue drill. Now it's the pups' turn to try. They aren't expected to save a rubber ducky just yet. First step is just to keep their heads above water. Only girl Eleanor's up first. But the only one this pup looks ready to save from the water is herself. Duke and Atlas show off more of their aquatic DNA, mastering the exit and the shake. But Eleanor isn't about to be shown up by a couple of boys. And this time, there's more pep in her paddle and in her pushing power. And finally, this St. Bernard proves she can shake it with the best of them. These 6 tiny kittens just opened their eyes. They're 8 days old and taking in a whole new world. It's It's a family of Tonkinese kittens, or Tonks for short. Tonks were bred in the 1960s, blending the best traits of both Bernese and Siamese cats. They have the Burmese sense of play, and like their Siamese cousins, can be quite chatty. Though Tonkinese kittens are born a creamy white with dark eyes, over time their coats will darken, and their eyes will turn icy blue, just like their two mothers. Queenie and Princess gave birth to their litters just one day apart, and they all came together to form one big extended family. Queenie is actually Princess's mother, so the family tree gets pretty complicated. Ready? Princess's kittens are Queenie's grandkittens. Queenie's kittens, on the other hand, are Princess's half-brothers and sisters, and the kittens are aunts and uncles and nephews and nieces to one another. But Princess and Queenie are happy to feed and care for all their kittens, no matter whose is whose. This little guy, Cookie, is as sweet as they come. He's extremely focused on the task at hand, getting all the breakfast he can, and maybe even an extra helping if no one stops him. His brother Muffin isn't faring quite so well. He's finding communal living a bit too cozy. Muffin's had it with crowding and makes a daring move to find some breathing space. But with two pairs of eyes watching, it's not easy for the little explorer to break away. Especially with eager first-time mom Princess on duty. But brothers Muffin and Cookie know there's an upside to the extra security. Twice as much love. It's been 2 weeks since first-time mom Princess took over. And she's finally got the hang of caring for the double dose of kittens. As far as she's concerned, they're all her babies. Meanwhile, Queenie's cold is better, but she's gotten very attached to her fancy couch and all the quiet time. Eager mom Princess is quite happy where she is, and she couldn't go anywhere if she wanted to. Now, with only one babysitter on duty, Cookie and Muffin get up to no good in the best way possible. Boys will be boys. A little soccer, then some boxing. This climbing through wall stuff gives the boys an idea. The kittens haven't seen Queenie in weeks. It seems like they wonder where she is. Cookie and Muffin do some investigation and discover a secret passageway, a kitten-sized crack in the wall between Princess and Queenie. Maybe they know someone special is on the other side, so they set out for a visit. This is gonna be good. The kittens can go where they please and visit any mom anytime. Muffin is larger and browner, just like Mom Princess. and he likes keeping her on her toes. Cookie favors cuddling with Queenie, which for her works just fine. In the last 10 weeks, these tiny tonks went from a crowded bed of fuzzy kittens to a rambunctious group of siblings, with Cookie and Muffin leading the way. With double the attention, these kittens have the best of both worlds. They live in a house with a lot of love and harmony. Well, definitely love. A few miles away, there's another new mom. 2-year-old Peanut is a Rhodesian Ridgeback, a breed known for their hunting and running skills. But Peanut's not running anywhere these days. She's got 3 brand new puppies to keep track of. 1, 2, 3. Yep, they're all there. Ridgebacks are born with their trademark, a ridge of hair running down their back in the opposite direction from the rest of their coat. Peanut's 2 girls, Gemma and Clover, have matching coats. Their brother Rufus sports a handsome tan. The sisters have been inseparable from the moment they entered the world. But Rufus is having some trouble fitting in. Gemma and Clover sleep face to face in case of a bad dream. Which makes Rufus a bit of a third wheel. When lunchtime rolls around, Rufus can't get a good seat at the table. And his sisters aren't concerned about making room. Poor Rufus is left out again. Peanut knows just how to solve this problem. Either everyone eats together, or no one eats at all. Rufus is fine with this arrangement. His sisters, not so much. At just 3 weeks old, the Ridgeback pups had their very first outing. But so far, they're not doing much sightseeing. So Mom gives the pups some space to explore while she stretches her legs. Ridgebacks can run up to 35 miles an hour and were once bred to help hunt lions in southern Africa. While pet Ridgebacks don't do much lion hunting, they still love the outdoors. But right now, the pups are a bit unsure about these new surroundings. Sisters Gemma and Clover do everything as a pair. They have a sniff around, but the ground's too chilly to venture beyond the blanket. Meanwhile, third wheel Rufus is not too happy about the wind chill. find something big being built in their backyard. An actual mechanical lure course. Under mom supervision, they go see what it's all about. Today, their inner hunters will be put to the test. But first, Mom Peanut shows them how it's done. Now it's time for the pups to try it. Gemma and Clover go first. And as usual, they work as a team. But it turns out two heads are only better if at least one knows what's going on. Rufus watches his sisters from the sidelines. When it's his turn, hopefully he'll be more of a natural. Because they could use a tutor. This morning, the Ridgeback pups awoke to find an actual lure course in their own backyard. So far, sisters Gemma and Clover haven't quite caught on. Now their brother Rufus gets a chance to give it a whirl. It doesn't take long for Rufus's hunting instincts to come alive. Even his sisters are impressed. It's been a tough day of hunting, and the Ridgebacks are exhausted. Not far away lives another family with a French name. Coton de Tulier are named for their white cockney coats. This breed is known for their happy-go-lucky attitude and natural ability to get along with anyone or anything. This handsome couple, Q-Tip and Gizmo, put their social skills to good use every day. They live in a very special place with plenty of neighbors. They may not look like it, but Q-Tip and Gizmo are farm dogs and keep their owners company while they tend to their chores. But these days, the handsome pair have a few more responsibilities. 6 of them, to be exact. A balanced brood of 3 girls and 3 boys. Like most modern couples, Gizmo and Q-Tip share their responsibilities. Mom takes care of the meals, and when dinner is over, Dad handles the cleanup. It will be a few more weeks before the Cotons get their signature cockney coats. So for now, they stick together to keep warm. But this little pup named Snowflake is having some trouble finding her spot in the group. Unlike her brother Buttermilk, who's not shy about wiggling his way into the best spot. Social dogs by nature, these pups already stick close together. There's no warmer place than between your siblings in a litter of six. The pups don't know it yet, but someone else is hoping to be welcomed into this cozy pack. Pipsqueak is an 8-day-old pygmy goat, about the same age as the pups. Pipsqueak is too small to live with the rest of the goats. Luckily, she's had others looking out for her. Gizmo and Q-Tip have taken her on as their own. The pups are too young to meet their adopted sister, and Pipsqueak has some growing of her own to do. While she's in good hands with her foster parents, she'll soon be seeking playmates her own age. Hopefully, this tight-knit bunch of six will make room for a seventh. Back at the Tulia house, the 3-week-old pups are learning how to get around.
Hi.
As they explore their surroundings, this pack sticks close together. In the middle of the action is Buttermilk, the outgoing pup who makes sure he's well known by all. But not everyone can work a room like Buttermilk. Shy Snowflake.
Are you cuddling your sister? No.
Maybe a new visitor will shake things up a bit.
Looks like it.
Today is a big day. Mom and Dad are introducing Pipsqueak to the rest of their puppy.
Be talking house.
Pipsqueak says hello, the only way she knows how. For goats, headbutting is a playful way to greet other members of the family.
Are you the baby? Big baby?
But the greeting doesn't
Yeah,
go over so well.
that's what I thought.
Not even Buttermilk is willing to go out of his way to introduce himself. She sure is different. While little Pipsqueak is eager to play, just watching her is enough to exhaust the pups. She'll have to find ways to amuse herself.
Arf! Ruff! Arf!
The Coton de Tulier is now 7 weeks old, and though it's taken a while, pygmy goat Pipsqueak is fitting right in. This morning, everyone's getting ready for a field trip.
Arf! Ruff!
Today, the pups are paying a visit to some neighbors on the farm. In a few weeks, one of these pups will be chosen to work on the farm alongside Mom and Dad. It's a big world out there, and not everyone in it looks the same. It's important to learn how to get along with all kinds of critters. No longer shy, Snowflake is really coming out of her shell, and almost the waggle. Meanwhile, on the other side of the farm, Snowflake's friend Pipsqueak is also seeing some new
Pipsqueak.
faces. She's now big enough to meet her extended family. And for once, she's on the receiving end of a traditional goat welcome. If headbutts are a sign of affection, Pipsqueak is a hit. Over at the Coton de Tulier house, there's excitement in the air. weeks old, they show the cheerful and friendly disposition the breed is known for.
What are you gonna do about it, huh?
Just ask Ipswich. The young Gotons have finally learned the art of headbutting from their adopted sister. Gizmo and Q-Tip have done a great job taking these instructions. And thanks to some help,
Bacon.
these pups will have no trouble making friends wherever they go. From the start, Buttermilk was born with a special social grace and grew into a natural leader. For Snowflake, making friends wasn't quite as easy until she met another outsider. And together they found their place among the pack. Far from the countryside lives a young city dog named Venus. She's a pit bull who gets her daily exercise taking walks around the neighborhood. She loves to say hello to all her friends along the way. But these days, Venus spends less time on her walks and more time at home. She's just become a mom to 9 brand new puppies.
9.
So she's got her paws pretty full.
6, 7.
Venus's giant litter needs plenty of love, attention, and nutrition. This little guy with a tiny spot on his neck is Thor. He's already grappling with the perils of having so many siblings, especially so many siblings who all get hungry at the same time. At less than a week old, Thor learns that in this supersized family, you have to pay your own taxes to get what you need, especially when you've got so much growing to do. An adult pit bull can reach up to 100 pounds. Sleek, muscular pit bulls are a cross between the English bulldog and the old English terrier. They are loyal and eager to please. When properly trained, pit bulls make excellent family pets.
What? What?
With their pups cuddled together in a nice tight pile, Mom Venus
Oh.
for a much-needed break.
Breakfast?
But it seems she's not the only one who's looking for a break.
Breakfast.
Thor takes a break.
Breakfast.
At his age, he can't see or hear you. And Thor heads back to the lodge. As he grows, Thor will have plenty of opportunity to find his own corner of the world. But for now, it's just his own time. One little pup in the sea of 9. The 9 pups are getting bigger every day, which means their space is getting smaller. Stuck underneath his brother, little Thor tries his best to get a good nap. But he can't find any empty space in this place. Whether it's mealtime or playtime, it's tough to find elbow room around here. Thor is beginning to feel like he's got about 8 brothers and sisters too many.
Breakfast.
And a little personal space. And after scanning the room, he seems to have succeeded. But as soon as Thor finds his private corner, the others find more.
Breakfast.
Looks like they live on
Yeah, boss.
The treat disappears into his belly.
Yeah.
It's a big day for the talented little pups. They're going home happy now. And as they wait for it to arrive, more can feel the excitement in the air. Watching over her young dogs, Venus can breathe easily, knowing they're all ready for the exciting new road ahead. 12 weeks ago, the pit bull pups were a tight-knit pile of 9 fuzzy newborns. As the city clumps grew, the space around them seemed to shrink. Nora was never quite comfortable in the chaos of a crowd. She eventually learned that everything in life is better shared with friends. Now the pups eagerly wait to meet some very important new friends.
Chicken. Come here, girls. Come down. On the couch. Get back on the couch. Get on the couch. Get up there with sister. Sister.
Something magical happens.
There's no snacking up there. What are you snacking on? What? Where did that come from?
His new best friend.
Take these.
And he's
Take
definitely a
these.
superhero in Thor's eyes.
Lay down, Ladybird. Ladybird.
As they head off into the
Ladybird. Lay down, bird.
Thor is more than happy to share his space and have a best buddy
Hey, bird.
for the ride.
You're fired.
This cozy cabin in the woods is the perfect love nest for 2 Siberian soulmates.
We're looking for more food.
And Boris, who only have eyes or tails for each other. The Siberian is an ancient cat breed whose Russian roots trace centuries back. These powerful felines are known to be vivacious and agile, thanks to their strong hindquarters and large round paws. While Cora's got the vivacious and agile part down, Boris, well, does not. He's a big guy who enjoys a comfortable, laid-back lifestyle. Some might say he's gotten a little too comfortable. But to Cora, he's perfect, just the way he is. And as the story goes, first comes love, then comes 5 fuzzy new kittens. Four girls in lovely shades of gray, and one boy, a little redhead, named Calvin, who stands out not just for his fiery coat, but for his fiery spirit. Calvin has a hard time calming down. And when the 4 girls are ready to nap, Calvin's still going strong, which is getting pretty. He seems to take a much more laid-back approach to kitten care. Besides, as far as he can tell, Cora's managing the situation just fine on her own. But Mom's at her wit's end, and finally comes up with a solution, which lets the girls get some quiet and gives Dad a not-so-subtle hint that this is supposed to be a team effort. Unfortunately, when he finally comes down off his pedestal, Dad's got no clue what returns to his mate, her message is clear. And this parenting duo, he's going to have to start pulling his weight. Back in the country, what used to be a tranquil lovers' cottage is now a noisy house of mayhem, with Siberian Mom Cora running the place. And running herself a bit ragged. Meanwhile, Dad Boris embraces his laid-back approach to parenting. And despite Cora urging him to get up, he doesn't. So Cora decides to leave him in charge for a while. Though it may not look like it, Dad's on top of everything. His strategy is for the kittens to tire one another out. And sure enough, Dad's plan works. Though not entirely. Rambunctious Calvin outlasts his four sisters. But now he's got no one to play with. And after tearing through the toys, he sets his sights on Dad. Getting up is not on Dad's agenda. So he'd better find some quick way to occupy his fireball son. And there it is. Something new to chase. Problem solved. When Cora returns, Boris is pleased to show his mate he's got things under control. At least for the moment. Back in the country, the 6-week-old Siberian quintuplets are bickering over everything. And Mom Cora is growing weary of playing referee. All by herself. Dad Boris manages to stay out of the fray. But Cora's just about had enough. She lets Boris know he's on call for the afternoon. Which is no problem for the laid-back dad, who's confident he can parent lying down. But only boy Calvin doesn't take anything lying down. Luckily, Dad knows an easy game to keep Calvin occupied. And it doesn't require him to lift a paw. But Calvin is ready for a new game. Suddenly, Dad realizes it's a little too quiet. He's lost Calvin. And Cora won't be pleased about it. Luckily, Calvin's not missing for long. But seeing Dad up on his feet looks like an invitation for a game of keep away. But keeping up with Calvin isn't easy. And when Dad stops to catch his breath, Calvin disappears again. And now it's time for Boris to face the music. But then, Calvin shows up and cuts the discussion short. Mom's got to hand it to Dad. He does seem to have things under control. Perhaps there's something to be said for the paws-off approach. Little does she know that thanks to Calvin, dads decided to adopt a more hands-on approach. Back with the Turkish Angoras, Mom Glitter is giving her 6-week-old kittens a little more freedom around the salon. She's allowing them to chat up the customers in the waiting lounge. And even help out with cleanup. But while Mom's given them these freedoms, family girl Jessie takes her own liberties. And today she discovers a hobby closet that's every kitten's dream. A dream Izzy is quick to pounce on. But she's in for a rude awakening when Mom shows up. And while Izzy has had a good run, she finally gets herself caught. But while finding herself in a tangle, Izzy's actually glad to see Mom. Because even the most independent kittens sometimes need someone big to show them the way. Back at the Siberians' country retreat, everyone's up and about, including Daddy Forrest, who's finally caught on that sometimes you can't just take life lying down. Sometimes. Long ago, Siberian old-age Forrest and Cora filled their rock nest with 5 fuzzy kittens, while their 4 little girls made life easy. Their fireball son Calvin put the new parents to the test. It may have taken some trial and error, but eventually, thanks to Calvin, they came to appreciate each other's parenting style. Today, the kittens are meeting their new loving family. Of course, Cora and Forrest wouldn't want things to be too quiet. So Calvin's going to stick around and no doubt grow up to be the perfect balance of Mom and Dad. This story begins in a ranch home that looks quite serene from the outside. But inside, there's lots of hustle and bustle. A new family has just moved here with a pair of Maine Coons named Wilhelmina and Fred. Fred's a little unsettled with all the change, and it's tough to find any place that feels stable. But the new house isn't even the biggest change this pair is facing. Just one day after the move, Wilhelmina gave birth to 6 kittens, and right now, even they're a little scattered. The litter is made up of 5 girls and 1 boy named Maurice. Wilhelmina likes order, so she calls everyone to lunch. And for the moment, order is restored. Meanwhile, Fred watches from above. His perch is finally grounded, and he's not taking any chances by getting down. Hopefully, he'll adapt to all this change soon. After all, his breed was developed on the go. Maine Coons are the largest of all house cats. It's believed they descended from domestic long and short hairs brought over by European seafarers. When they settled in New England, the cats were released into the cold woods, where their coats thickened and they evolved to be larger and hardier than most cats. Today, Maine Coons are beloved for their intrepid spirits. A little girl named Ladybird always shows her intrepid spirit. She's set off on a mini odyssey. At least as far as one can set off with 2-inch legs.